Hey, so what's up, guys? Staying here from Rocky Creek. It is freezing cold outside. I think this morning it was around 10 or 11 degrees. So I am not going outside. I am not working on anything outside. So instead, we're going to get busy in the kitchen, and I'm actually going to be trying out something that I got for Christmas. So I feel like I'm an old man, or maybe I'm just going to use it as saying that the homesteading brought me to it, so that way I don't have to admit that I'm getting older. But two items that I got for the holidays was a bread maker from my wife's grandmother, and then also my mother got me a dehydrator. And I wanted a dehydrator because I wanted to expand the options that I have for preserving food in the future. And so anytime I'm doing something new that I haven't done before, I don't really want to invest huge amounts of money until I know for sure that it's something that I like. And there's a bazillion different dehydrators out there that you can get. And I asked my mother to just get me one of the Nescos because it's one of the more popular, more reasonably priced ones, especially for intro level dehydrators such as myself. I've never done it before, not a single time. But I'm gonna bring you along today as we put it to the test. But there's all kinds of smells going on in the kitchen. We're gonna have dehydrating going. I got stuff cooking in the crock pot for dinner. I got some bread going in the bread maker right there. So we got a lot of smells going on in here, and the only thing it's doing is making me hungry and making me fatter by the minute. But that's okay. It's wintertime. I'm just considering my hibernation weight, and we'll get it back off this spring and summer. But enough about that. Let me show you this dehydrator that I got, and let me show you what we're gonna do. So guys, here's my dehydrator. It's the Nesco, I think it's like the 75 PR model. It's not digital. It's just, I don't know, just turn dial. And it feeds everything from the top. It's got the top fan right there. And it came with, I believe, probably around 5 to 8 trays. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 trays. And then it also came with 2 of these screens, which are more finer mesh, and it says that these are good for sticky type fruits or drying herbs or things that are smaller items than what comes on the standard ones. And then these as well for if you want to do like your own fruit roll-ups or fruit snacks type things such as that. So we're not going to be using those today though. We're going to try to use these on the standard trays. So let me show you what we're going to do with these apples real quick, and then we'll go from there. Speaking of the bread maker, it actually just dinged right as we're about to get ready with this dehydrating. So I'm gonna pull this loaf out real quick. We're not gonna talk about that per se today, but I will show you what a loaf looks like. This was actually a recipe in the book. It was called Jewish Chahala bread. I don't know how to pronounce that. No, I'm not Jewish. And it also called for raisins, but it sounded delicious. And I didn't have raisins, but I had dried cranberries. So I just threw it together and we'll see what we end up with, but I'll pull it out real quick so at least you can see what bread looks like coming out of a bread maker if you haven't used one before. So there's a loaf right there. Now we're just gonna pull her out and see if we can't get her unstuck and throw her on a plate. Make do. It is very hot though, so you gotta be careful. So this is the third loaf I've done since I've gotten this bread maker. The first loaf did not come out very good. The other loaf popped out right away. Oh, there we go. Oh, gotta get the handle. Oh, that's a hot handle.
It's huge. That looks like those buns that you eat at like the restaurants and stuff.
Now don't think that the bread maker may have burnt this one. This is actually a little bit lighter than what it looks like on camera. And this particular recipe, it did say that it would come out darker than what typically other breads would, and that's just how this recipe is designed. So don't be concerned by that. But yeah, that's what a loaf coming out of the bread maker looks like. And like I said, this is the third one we've done. Really liked it. The only thing I've recognized since is that I need a better knife for cutting bread because I don't cut it all that great, so we end up with really thick slices. But that's all part of the learning curve. But enough about bread. Let's get back to dehydrator because that's really the topic. But this just happened to be right as I was recording, so I thought I'd show you real quick how well it comes out and drops out. Alright guys, so just as I was saying that this is a new thing for me, and so I'm not really looking to invest a whole lot of money right at this moment until I see if this is something I really want to do. And from my research, because I do try to read on stuff before I do it, with dehydrating, some things particularly for apples that they recommend you have to make your life easier is a mandolin, so that way you can get even slices, which gives you an even drying time for the different products. They also recommend, of course, like a core. I don't have that. So what we're gonna roll with today is we're gonna roll with a knife and we're gonna roll with a spoon. So that way I can scoop out the pit area and the core and get that out. And then what I have right here, which you would have saw at the opening of this video, was I want to keep the skins on my apples. I don't want to get rid of the skins. I feel like the skins are good. So I want to keep that on there. I like the extra texture that it gives on apple chips I bought at the store. So what I did was, to get any kind of waxy film off of it and to clean it, we soaked it in a 3 parts water, 1 part vinegar solution. And we did that for about 10 minutes. And then after that, we rinsed them off under warm water just to get any residue off. And then that's what we ended up with. Now what we're going to do to prevent it from browning in the dehydrating process, from what I read, is that once I slice it, we're going to drop it into this 1-to-1 water and lemon mixture, where we'll let them soak for a few minutes before placing them into the dehydrator. They say that this brightens the flavor of the apple, but most importantly, it keeps it from browning as it's dehydrating. I'm not an expert. This is literally the first time I've ever done this. So I am just sharing with you what I've read, but I can't really attest to it. So without further ado, I got old trusty Madison over here. She's ready to give me a hand with this. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get to cutting it, and as I cut them, she's gonna drop them into the lemon water mixture for me from there. So I'm thinking the easiest way for me to do this, which I do need a bowl for the cores.
What do I drop in?
So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use a spoon here. Now I did see a lady on a video that used a melon baller, and that looked like it worked really well. But I feel like I can make do with this for today. If anything, the only downfall to this is going to be I may lose a little extra of the apple. These right here are Gala apples, so they're not really big, but I really didn't want to get too over the top on my first batch that I'm ever trying, because, well, if it goes really bad, I don't want there to be a lot wasted. Not that I really think you can hurt anything with dehydrating, but you can see there I got the core out, and the only part I had to take a little V right there. I'm going to leave the skins on, and I'm going to try to cut these as uniformly as I can, leaving the skins on in little half rings. Try to grab from the bottom, so the ones that haven't been in the juice yet. Alright, so this is what the standard tray looks like in terms of the mesh. This is the base, which can catch any moisture as it's going. And then that's the standard mesh that you have that comes with it. So what we're going to start off doing is we're going to go ahead and place the apple slices onto here. Now what I read was the big thing is to make sure that they're not touching on the tray. You can fit as many as you can, but make sure that they're not touching to allow for even drying and circulation of the air. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to let Miss Madison work on putting those on there while I continue to cut up some apples, because I do think, just by looking here with the amount of trays that we still have available, I think we're going to have plenty of space to do so. So I'm going to let her do so. Now, yep, that's good. So maybe what you can do to get more, to fit them in better, so I turn that way and then turn like that way.
Do it like this and then put one on top. I'm just putting them everywhere.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm just saying where I see little gaps, I try to move them a little bit. Maybe I'll squeeze 1 or 2 more on. Yeah, that's good right there.
This?
Pretty sure that's it. Then again, it may not even matter. Process, from what I understand. I mean, we just, once I get it put on there, there's nothing we got to do but just wait for it. check it every so often, but it could be hours. It may be morning time before it's done. I don't know.
So basically, we just leave it in one spot?
Well, we don't. We're gonna put them on the machine, turn it on, and then. So we got the tray sitting there. Now up here on top, it's got a quick reference guide. It also came with a book that's a little more detailed, but it recommends 135 for fruits and vegetables. This dial doesn't really like click into place in any particular area, so I assume you can go in between, like here's 125 and 135. So my guess would be if you go in the middle, that'd give you about 130, but we'll go with their recommendation. We'll go 135. There's no on off switch, you just simply plug it in. So we'll drop it on here, plug it up, and I'm curious to hear how loud this thing is, because it is gonna have to run for quite a long time from what I read. It's plugged in. It's not too awful loud. I mean, it's pretty quiet. It's no louder than like per se our dishwasher or something. It's probably a little bit quieter than our dishwasher if I were to compare it to something that you probably hear regularly, and our dishwasher is fairly new, so it's a bit quieter. So, you know, something that's got to run for a long time, I don't notice it. It's not something that you're going to notice very, very much, especially if it's in your kitchen. So I'm not disappointed with that at all. So it said it can greatly vary when you do fruits. It all depends on the moisture content in the fruit. So what I think I'm going to do is, nothing says less than 4 hours. So it's 1:30, and from what I read that, you know, nothing was showing less than 4 hours for these. So I'm going to let it go until just before supper time, so around 5 o'clock, 5:30, 3.5, 4 hours. And I'll take a peek then, see how they're doing, and we'll bring you along and show you how long it takes, and we'll show you the finished product. Hey, you want to try the bread?
Yeah. It's good.
Is that good? Yeah. A piece of bread. How is that, Bubba? Is that good, Brad? You like that? Is the kid approved? All right, so we're all done with the apple chips. I snacked a lot, so I've already ate a whole bunch of them. Mrs. Rocky Creek already tried some as well. She's determined she prefers them without the skins. We have friends of ours that have given us these before that they've done. I personally like the skins. She does not. I'm not sure what Madison here prefers. I don't know if she'll even remember the one she had without them or not.
I do.
But nonetheless, one thing that I did learn was that it does take quite a while. It ended up taking about right at 7 hours. It's about 8 o'clock or so right now to do it. And I also learned that with the element up at the top pushing down, I found that the top 3 trays were drying out a little bit faster than the bottom 2 trays. So at some point I ended up basically flip-flopping those to try to balance it out a little bit. So if you end up trying it out, you may want to keep that in mind. At least that was my experience with this first go with it. So that being said, you want to grab one and try it?
It's good.
What it tastes like? Apple, probably, right?
Yeah, it tastes like chewy apples.
Yeah, it's kind of has like a little crisp at first, but then it kind of has a chewy texture to it.
It tastes like applesauce.
Tastes like applesauce.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can do it to different dryness. The more moisture that you leave, though, I would assume it would increase the chances of it molding a little bit quicker. I actually like it to have a little bit of a crispness to it, so you can see it kind of breaks off pretty easy. But I've been very pleased with this. I'm pleased with the dehydrator. I think especially for entry level, and kind of trying to get my feet wet, and for what little bit we need to do here on our property right now, I think it'll do just fine. So I'm excited to experiment with other types of stuff. If you don't have one, maybe you may want to end up looking into it, and this would be a good level without a huge investment. I don't know where my mother purchased this one in particular, but I will put a link to the same model down below to either like an Amazon or Walmart or something like that. And then you can shop around for pricing. I believe they usually range anywhere from about $65 to about $80 for this particular one. But I'm very pleased with it. It's another way to preserve some of our stuff. I'm really looking forward to it when we get to the garden time. But until then, I think we're going to be eating apple chips tonight. Mrs. Rocky Creek was already trying to put some in a bowl, and I had to have her pump her brakes, so we had still some left to actually show you. But these may not make it through the night. If not, by tomorrow at the latest, they'll be gone. But about 9 apples turned into this one plate. So it's definitely space savings. It's very good. Good little nutritious snack. Glad to have it. I'm glad to have y'all along with us while we tried it out for the first time. So until then, appreciate you hanging out with us today. Y'all be good. We'll see you. Bye.